back with another quick tutorial on how to create this crochet braided ear warmer headband using the Red Heart Love metallic yarn. Really easy tutorial from a beginner. Very pretty. It has a nice little shimmer to it. And then I'm going to use a 6.5mm crochet hook. Now this is a very simple tutorial. If you know how to do a double crochet stitch, this is going to be super easy for you. You will need a yarn needle of sorts. I'm actually going to use a plastic version, but you can use that metal kind there. Some stitch markers will be helpful. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel or hit the notification bell, go ahead and do that so you don't miss any of my future videos or any that I've created already. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You're going to start by making yourself a slip knot. So if you don't know how to do that, go ahead and follow along with me here on the screen. Just make yourself an X, and then you're just going to tuck the tail in under, just like I've done there, and then just pull out. And this is the easiest way I know to do a slip knot, but there are plenty of ways to do that. Make a slip knot if you don't know how. And if you can't follow along here, okay? Go ahead and take that slip knot and place it over your crochet hook and give it a little tug just so that it's secure. And we're going to start by making ourselves a foundation chain. So just yarn over and then pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarning over is basically just putting the yarn behind the crochet hook and then pulling through. Okay, just pause and keep working. You're going to do that until you get to, I use 64. Now this is all based off my head, so what you'll want to do is make your foundation chain, wrap it around your head, see if it will fit with just a little bit of a give, and that's what you'll use. So I use 64 stitches. Once you get your foundation chain to the desired length, you're going to count over into the fourth space or the fourth stitch, and you're going to create your first double crochet stitch. Okay, so if you don't know how to do a double crochet stitch, you can follow along here, and then I'll also put a link in the description box on how to do a double crochet stitch. Okay. All right, so just yarn over into the next space. So you're basically going to do a double crochet stitch all the way down the foundation chain in that first, then that next stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, and you're going to continue this all the way down until you get to the end of your foundation chain. So when I tell you guys this is really a beginner-friendly project, it really, really is. Okay, so I'm going to stay on camera just for a little bit longer so you can see the double crochet stitch, just in case you're not familiar with it. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and pause your video now, and then just keep working, and then meet me back when you get closer to the end. Okay, now I have my first row of double crochet stitches right here to the end. When you get to the end, you're going to chain 3. Okay, and then once you have your 3, you're going to turn your work. Now this chain of 3 that you just created, that's going to count as your first double crochet stitch. And so we're not going to put one right there in that very first spot. The next one over right there, you're going to do your next double crochet stitch. Now I had a total of 60 double crochet stitches in my rows, and so you'll want to kind of make sure that you have that. And we're going to be making 3 of these, so 3 strips or 3 panels. That's what we're going to be creating in order to make our braid. So continue working all the way down, just like we did in that first row. We're going to do another row of double crochet stitches all the way down until you get to the very end. So it should look like this. Pause the video if you want and keep working until you get to the end. Now when you get to the very end here, you're going to make sure that you get a double crochet stitch right there in that very last double crochet stitch. You should have a total of 60. If you did the same number as me, you should have a total of 60. Okay, I'm going to give it a little count real quick. Make sure I have the same number. All right, so we have 60 there. And then what I did was I just did one more, so I chained 1, turned my work, and did a row of single crochet stitches. So in that very first space there, I just did single crochet stitches all the way down. So just insert your crochet hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So I kind of took some liberties with this video, assuming that you know how to do a double crochet and a single crochet stitch. If you do not know how to do that, you can either slow the video down and catch on, or you can check out my other tutorial and I will show you how to do those stitches in slower motion. So see, that's the length, the width that I have there. When you get to the very end, just like before, you want to make sure you get a single crochet stitch into that very last stitch. Okay. And now this is kind of crucial only in that we had to do 3, and so you want to make sure that they're all the same. So you want to make sure you have the same number of stitches in every one of your little 3 panels. I guess that's what we'll call it for this, 3 little panels. So this is what you'll have, are 3 strips. Okay, and then you just kind of line them up. It's okay if they don't match 100%, but you want them to be pretty close, okay? So then what I'm showing you here is I just kind of get the ends together, and then I'm going to run a little stitch across the top. So basically what we'll be doing is this right here. We're going to be braiding it, but let me show you how I actually did it. Using a yarn needle, I am going to sew across the top. Now when I created this, I left a little tail at the end, so that way I had enough to sew across. But if you didn't use a tail, leave a tail, that's fine. Just get you some of the same yarn that you use. Yarn up your needle and then just sew across so that all 3 kind of pull together. Now this is an optional step. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You can just clamp these down using like a clipboard or something, but this kind of helps it stay together while you're manipulating it and twisting everything together. Okay, I just used a bookend. That's what I had that was heavy in the room that I was working in. And all you're going to do is braid. So you can follow along with the screen there on how to braid if you're not familiar with braiding. It's much easier for you to just watch versus me trying to explain left over right or whatever. So just kind of follow along with the screen on how to braid your 3 strips, your 3 crochet strips or panels. Guys, this is super simple. It really literally probably took me about 30 minutes to create, and sewing it probably took another 5 or 10 minutes just because I'm not the world's best sewer, but I get it done. Okay, and you want to kind of make sure that they're flat but tight. So, well, not super tight, but you know, so that it doesn't come apart, and you'll manipulate it a little bit before you sew the other end together. Okay, and so I'm just going to work with it a little bit and get it to the way I want it to look, and then I'll show you how I sewed everything together. And it's probably best if you make sure you get any of those ends weaved in or cut off so that they're not in your way. And I wish I would have done that when I was creating mine. So if all those extra little ends, you only need 1 tail end, and you need it to be towards the outside, but really just make sure you get all those other ends cut off and get them out of your way. Okay, I used my stitch marker to just hold everything together. That made it so much easier, you guys, when I'm trying to sew. So if you have a stitch marker, that would be perfect for this. You're going to use your sewing needle and then the tail end just like I did before. And I'm just going to run a little stitch along the side, making sure that everything stays together. So essentially I've sewn the top and I've sewn the bottom, but we're not done sewing quite yet, okay? And you can ignore that elastic band on there. I was going to put an elastic band, but I didn't need to. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like here. And that's kind of what it looks like. It's going to look a lot better on, but I want to give you an idea just so when you saw yours, if it looked like this, don't get concerned. Okay, so then at this point, you're just going to fold your ear warmers in half, and then you're going to sew along the raw edge. So you've already sewn the top and the bottom independently, and now we're going to sew everything together. So just make sure that you pick up a stitch from both sides, or put your yarn needle through both sides to just ensure that it gets together evenly. So see how that looks? And I'm going to sew this off camera. It's just so much easier for me to sew not through the camera lens. I do want to show you really quick to make sure that you go up and down. So I went up and then I went back down so that it was really nice and secure. And this is what it looks like. You just need to make a determination what you want to be your outside and what you want to be your inside. It's up to you. Okay, and so once you have it all sewed together, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Pretty cool, huh? Here's one optional step if you want the panels or the strips not to come apart. Just run a stitch along the side, and that will kind of keep everything really neat. I didn't necessarily like doing that just because I like to be able to adjust it over my ears, but it's completely optional. All I did was just run a stitch along each side, and that will allow the braid to stay really neat. So it's up to you. I didn't really feel like it was necessary, but okay, so this is what it looks like on. Unfortunately, the sparkles didn't pick up with the camera, but it really is a great yarn. Any questions, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!